Welcome to another amazing episode of For the Sake of Heaviness. My name is Butch Ballich, always here with
My name is Merciful Mike.
Merciful Mike.
Yes, that is me.
And if
Always.
you piss him off, he'll be merciless.
I'll be merciless.
But tonight we have a special episode. We have Centaurus from Toronto, Canada, here with us. We have Luis,
Hell yeah.
Daniel, and Eric. How's it going, guys?
How's it
Pretty
going?
good. Thanks for having
Pleasure.
us.
Right
Thanks
on.
for joining
Absolute
us.
pleasure.
Yeah, I told I wrote you guys and I told Mike I'm always kind of like scouring for new bands to listen to, and I happen to come across the band online and checked out and just really like the Regime album a lot. And so it's cool like that we're able to have you on so soon. Definitely thanks for being here, because I think it's a really great album. And then once we started like getting into your bio, and we'll get through some of this, but it's amazing to me, you have that's such an accomplished recording for dudes that are, well, you guys are what, like 22 years old right now?
We're all
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys are 21. I just turned 22. Yeah.
Right on.
That's awesome.
Why don't you go around and like just introduce yourselves to everyone, tell everyone what you do in the band and that kind of fun thing. We'll get that out of the way.
For sure. Yeah, I can start. My name is Luis Magai. I'm do vocals and guitars in the band Centaurus, and I'm also mainly in charge of the creative process and songwriting.
Yeah, for sure. I could take it away. So my name's Eric. I'm over as the drummer. Yeah, as Luis said, he did take care of most of the creative process throughout this Regime release. So it's fun for me and Daniel to kind of jump in and work over on the marketing side, as well as like handling accounts and things like that. But yeah, so we kind of just jump in on that, and then we're kind of catching up with the rehearsing parts. But yeah, I'll leave it off to Daniel.
Yeah, I'm Daniel. I played bass for Centaurus. And yeah, like Eric said, just do the marketing side of like socials and anything like that. Try to promote us as much as possible on different platforms. It's very fun to do gotta say.
Awesome. So you guys formed roughly when you were, I mean, you guys started playing together when you were 12 years old, right?
Yeah.
You played a school talent show?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's
So
fantastic.
how do you go? So starting at like 12, like how long are you guys playing at that point individually? Like when did you all start on your individual instruments, and how'd you meet? Like that's pretty cool that you guys met, at 12 years old, and you're still, together, like
Yeah.
playing music. I think that's awesome.
We all played at different ages, like mostly single digits. I started at 5 or 6 or something playing electric guitar, and then moved to drums and then bass. Stuck with bass because it's honestly my favorite. But we all met, like we went to elementary school together, pretty much since like grade 1 through I think 6 we met.
Yeah, for sure. Daniel and I had first met. We're kind of like
was-
kind of since day one, like first grade, and then Luis moved in eventually to Toronto and moved in like to the same school as us. And then I think you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I initially jammed with Luis first at a talent show, or it was like during the talent show rehearsals, and then eventually we all just like grouped up because I was just like, hey, we should kind of all just jam together.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there's a
kind of
few
being the
pieces
best
in
three.
between. Yeah, there's a few pieces in between because me and Louise jammed at our music school because that's what we did. We jammed at our music school. You guys jammed
Oh, yeah, that's
for
right.
a talent show, and then the three of us ended up just combining.
That's right.
Yeah,
Nice.
Daniel and I did end up going to the same music school prior to, because I moved in Canada back in 2012. I was around like 8, I want to say. I'm not sure if my math's right, but Yeah, I picked up guitar at the age of 10, so about 2 years after I moved here. Before that, I did piano and I hated it. It's
Yeah.
too much like form, and all that,
Yeah.
and too much practicing. So then it was either between drums and guitar. I really wanted to do drums, but I ended up doing guitar because there was no space in the house. And then, yeah, from there, my dad enrolled me in a bunch of like, they kind of have like these rock band programs for the
Hmm.
music school where you get together with like other students and just like jam and then play at like a local bar. So
Yeah.
we did that. And then I think the talent show was around grade seven. And I believe Daniel and Eric had already jammed before then, but then they asked me like, hey, do you want to, join? Because I did a solo performance the year before, and they're like, you're pretty
Yeah.
good, you want to join? And then just ended up going from there.
That's
Super cool.
awesome. So at that
That's
young a age, I mean, you guys definitely love your metal. I mean, because it shows with your
Yes,
two
sir.
releases. So, at an elementary age, now like Butch and I, when we were in elementary, it was all about Kiss. It was just in your face. So that was like our gateway band. So at your age, at that young beginning, what were you guys listening to? I mean, what turned you guys into the metalheads you are today, so to speak?
I do have
Sure.
my answer.
I,
If you
I
want me
have
to
my
start with
answer
that.
too.
Okay, we all do. So
Yeah.
I could start. I initially started by loving AC/DC. That was like my band out of like what my parents were listening to in the background and whatnot. But I have to say my mom is a metalhead, so so
awesome.
eventually moved
Awesome,
over to
mom.
Way to
Metallica.
go.
Yeah, yeah. So gateway band kind of standard, but Metallica followed like almost Die Hard like for quite a bit there. And still I would say I still am today, going to their concerts whenever they come. But yeah, it's been lots of fun from there. I feel like the gateway band for me was like it started off as like rock, like earlier rock, and then moved like kind of just like progressed to heavier
Sure.
and heavier past that. But also I just love all genres, to be honest. I've just loved like any type of music, whether it's jazz, whether it's rap, whether it's anything around that.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome.
Oh, I could go next then.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, Back when I was starting playing guitar, it's just like a lot of Beatles stuff, because they're
Yeah.
really simple open chords on the guitar. But I think the really first introduction into heavy music was probably Metallica as well. It was Metallica's one actually, because back then when I was like in elementary school, I'd watch like those like top 10 videos on YouTube like religiously. I think it was like
Yeah.
a Watch Mojo video which had like top 10 guitar solos of all time, and then Metallica's one was featured on there, and I was just like, blown away by, that main solo. I didn't even know that was possible on guitar. And then from there, I just branched out into like all of the Metallica albums, and then things around that like Testament, Megadeth, Slayer, and then recently it's been a lot of like more melodic and aggressive things. So like In Flames, Trivium, Gojira, stuff from that sort, like kind of the
Sure.
newer stuff as well.
Cool.
Gotcha. How about you,
Um,
Daniel?
for me, my favorite band was Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Mm.
so not very heavy whatsoever. I was just as a kid shirtless running around the house acting like Anthony Kiedis. And then out of nowhere, grade seven hit, and I listened to Tool, and from there I jumped straight to Slipknot and went down the dark rabbit hole of metal and just stuck with it. So just like Eric said, I am into like pretty much all music,
Sure.
but metal is definitely like my go-to. I'm constantly listening to it.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, I remember when I was Mike and I've talked about this before, but I know as I started listening to music, it I started with like I like went from having like a wider like I'd listen to whatever was on the car with my parents, but then I started getting into like oddball, like from Kiss to I was all over the place. I was like Devo and Blondie and different like Asia and Queen, and of course the Beatles. Then as I got into junior high, it was like metal, 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 like all the time. Like, and then I got to college and got around other kids, and they're like, I'm like, oh, there's music outside of. I didn't realize there was music outside of metal, and I think late in high school, I started getting in. Sly Stone just passed away, and that was the first R&B artist I know that I got into that I was like totally blown away. If you guys haven't seen the Woodstock movie, watch that sometime. Like it's a cool document of that time period, and just to see some of these old classic rock artists and the things they were doing. But when Sly and the Family Stone came on the stage, it's like it'll blow your head apart because it was one of the most powerful things I'd ever seen. It up to that point, I was like, like I said, it was metal all the time, and so it's cool. I think the more music you listen to, whether you play metal or play something else, it gives you everything goes into the melting pot and helps your creativity. I
For
think so.
sure. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I think that's
Um,
a common thing with all of us, actually. Like, all of us don't just like limit ourselves to metal or rock. We all like, rap, pop music, any genre, honestly. And I think that really helps us when it comes to our creative process
Yeah.
and like, gathering different elements from, like a catchy chorus or whatever. So I think that's definitely a good common ground that we have.
I think that's
very
an
cool.
admirable common trait for you guys to have because just speaking personally, and I never met enough like-minded individuals to really pursue original heavy music, but knowing that you guys have a full appreciation of music, no matter what that is, I completely agree with you, Luis. I think that really drives the creative effort because you're drawing from here and here and here, and it only pushes you guys forward. So very, very commendable. Good job.
Thank
So,
you.
what was what was like your pathway kind of leading up in the interim years when you started jamming together up through the demo for Injustices Served? Like what was the pathway that led you to start writing originals? And it looks like you went through about 10,000 name changes on the way to Centaurus. Um, Talk about
According to
that
the
for a
bio.
little bit.
Sure, yeah, I could get into that.
It
So
was high school. That was
yeah,
like the what was it? The not it's
it
like
was
where the whole
the
school
pep
comes
rally.
together. Yeah,
Yeah.
pep rally.
So like we played another talent show after the first one. I think it was grade 8, so it was our last year of elementary school. Then we moved on into high school. We played a couple more events like the pep rally. We also did like a cafe night type thing, and it was just covers. Um, we played Enter Sandman at the pep rally with no vocals because at the time I like had no intention of singing. That's usually how it goes for metal vocalists. But and then we also played the cafe night. I think we did a Queens of the Stone Age song. Can't remember the title, but we did have a singer hop on for us. And yeah, it was just pretty much covers throughout most of elementary school and high school. And then Eric and Daniel, I think, were pushing for us to write songs, which was actually kind of funny. I was the one against it. I was like, "Why are we writing songs, man? Like, we're never gonna make it. It was just so stupid, you know." And then so, but then I think we ended up doing a couple of basement jams, and then some songs came together. While we were still under the name Hype Rise. I think we gathered together like 9 or 10 songs, which never made it through since it was really derivative and quite boring, honestly. But that was definitely our gateway into writing originals for sure.
It's cool. Where was I? My notepad's like all marked up. Um, so how did the I guess what's your songwriting process like when you guys get together? Luis, do you write the bulk of the material and
Yeah.
bring it to the band and you guys work on it at rehearsal, or does it come in like fully formed? Do you guys bounce ideas back and forth? What's your process in Centaurus?
I would say for 95% of it, it's like I come with the songs like already done. Uh, it's kind of an unusual process since like for me, when I write songs, everything just starts with one riff, and it
Mhm.
doesn't even have to be like the main riff. It could be like a chorus riff, a bridge riff, pre-chorus, whatever. And then from there, everything would probably fall into place like really quickly within like 3 to 4 days. And I would like think about how the song would go like for all of like the entire day. I'd even like dream about how it might go. And then like I'd like drop everything as soon as I get like some form of like creative movement going. And Yeah, it's like really spontaneous, I would say. Like for the regime, for example, all of the songs were written in under no more than a week, I would say, with average
Wow.
probably being
Wow.
like 3 to 4 days. So it's honestly just the writer's block period in between where like I'd have
Yeah.
like months of like nothing coming. And I'm like a type of guy who doesn't really like to press record and like play everything. I like tend to only record if I know it's going to be like a good something worth like moving forward with. So yeah, but we do sometimes write collaboratively. There's a song off of our EP, the Injustice to Serve EP called Mass Destruction. Daniel and I just kind of like hammered that one out in like a basement session in Eric's basement. So yeah, it's we switch things up sometimes, but for the most part, it's just me.
Yeah, I do
Okay,
have to
cool.
say during the past 4 years, I just finished university. I was abroad. So wasn't here too much of the process, but I did have Luis like messaging me like, "Hey, got this done. Like we got song 6 out of 9 done like right now, and we're just like, and I'm just working on that." So I was just it was great to hear it from afar, but definitely want to jump in more on the creative process. So big shout out to Luis. I mean, all the credit goes to him for this one. And then like, you know, as a band, hopefully like we can like, you know, kind of build off of that like solid ground that he's placed for us and then, you know, keep going from there.
Yeah,
That,
Luis, the album I think sounds really, really good.
yeah.
And it looks like you did all of this on your own at home. Like you've
Yeah,
like
all in the
what's your setup there, man?
it's all in the basement, honestly. Like just a Scarlett audio interface and you know the mic that I use for vocals was actually kind of unorthodox. It's a SM57, which is usually
Okay.
used
Yeah.
for instruments. So,
Yeah.
but what I just had lying around, so I used that. I used my Charvel to record it, Charvel San Dimas, and then I just put that right into the audio interface and used plugins to get the guitar tone that I wanted. Actually, while tracking it, most bands they would do like double track guitars or quad track guitars at the most. But I guess I was just really after a beefy sound, so I octatracked the guitars, which is like four on the left, four on the right. And I'm like in the basement, just like going ham, trying to get everything like tight, like as tight as it could be. So
That
yeah,
explains a lot because when I first listened to it, that was literally one of the first things that caught my attention. I was like, this is chunky as fuck, man. I couldn't believe how chunky and just riffy it sounded. Really, really good. And to know that you did that all on your own, man, nice job.
thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah. Man, one of the things I really like about your sound while we're talking about it, the band sound is it's just very tight and attacking and riffy.
Yeah.
Um, super classic sounding. Like I hear a lot of the bands you talk. I hear a lot of Metallica. I hear a lot of Testament. I also hear, Megadeth,
Yep.
bands like Evil and Havoc, like that, just that classic, you're not, it's thrashy, but it's riffy and super catchy. And you're not like being speedy for speed's sake. But it's real, like just in the pocket, like super tight. Um, I love the vocals on this. And I love too, like I get the difference between you have that more aggressive style, especially on the EP, and then it carries through on Regime. But like some of the tracks on here, like you bust into this really melodic, cleaner singing voice. Is that something that's like you're developing, or just has always been there, or you just balancing things out, or is it just the way
Yeah,
that
for
it
sure.
comes?
I think I've really gone like had it gotten an appreciation for like cleans in metal recently. Like if used right, like sometimes it can be cheesy if you just like throw in like a clean chorus every single time followed by like harsh vocals. But like yeah, it definitely adds like another textural element to the songs. And I do kind of like tend to switch between that and more like a barking, more aggressive type singing. On the Injustice is Served EP, if I'm being honest with you, I have no idea what I was doing. Uh, like I would like make my parents like leave the house and then I would record the vocals and then it's the same mic, by the way, same mic setup, same everything. I would like record, and I'd record like 1 or 2 lines, and then my voice would be like shot for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't even know. I think I was blaming the mic as well. It's like this mic isn't working, you know.
It's this
It's like
mic.
I need a new mic. And if you look at the waveforms actually on that one, I had to boost it up like 12 dB because it's so quiet.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it was destroying my voice and being so wimpy at the same time, but I think for the regime, I definitely built from the ground up. Like just started singing. I didn't really have the idea in mind that I was like learning how to sing. I was just kind of doing it like out of enjoyment when my parents would leave the house.
Mhm.
And then just like a lot of like pop songs, clean singing. And then I think I sort of like got comfortable pushing my vocals into like a more aggressive sound. And then, yeah, and then I just mixed between the two. So the clean vocals came first, and then I built like more and more distortion on top of that. And I'm still continuing to, up to now.
I think
It's
your
cool. Yeah.
vocal style plays to the your material though, because um when you think of like 80s classic thrash, it was a lot of it was that real raspy and even on the higher pitch end. So with the type of material that you guys have got on the regime, I think your vocals are really very noticeable, and I think it plays really well to the music. I was another real high point for me when I was listening.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's like it's in that it's like in the vein of like you guys like Hetfield and Chuck
Mhm.
Billy that were aggressive, but there's a
Very
lot of
much,
melody
yeah.
in what they're
Mm.
doing at the same time. So yeah, I mean, and I think too the addition of some of the vocal harmonies and things like that are really cool. I'm enjoying the guitar harmonies in the tracks too, which leads me to the question of are you guys like have you been playing live now with this material yet? Are you gearing up for that, or how's that?
We're currently gearing up for that. We've been doing rehearsals, trying to grind it out as much as possible. Uh, we all live like 5 to 10 minutes away from each other, but due to everyone's like housing situation, we can't rehearse at like someone's house. So we do go to a rehearsal space called the Groove Room. It's in the Etobicoke. It's about like 20-30 minute drive from here, and
Mm-hmm.
the rates are really good. Honestly, like we jam for about like 4 hours on average, and then when that's split, we pay like $20 to $30 each. I'm not sure if Daniel or Eric wanted to expand on that.
Yeah, for sure. So like recent or beforehand, I have to say I had a larger house before that with that's where we would like practice in our basement and things like that. It would be a lot easier, but unfortunately, I downsized, so my drums have basically become useless because I have a next door neighbor. So so yeah, definitely. The rehearsal room has been helpful like on top of that, but I think I can still do like individual practice. It's just when we all group up to play the regime. And maybe the neighbors might not like it as much, but yeah, just with the individual set, it's okay. And like on top of that, I don't know if it goes through the camera right, if you guys have been able to notice, but I was practicing the other day, like practicing individually, and unfortunately, I had an accident where the stick like flew out of my hand and like bounced onto the drum set back into my face. And then like I had to get stitches on my lip right here. I don't know if it's visible
No way. I
very
can see
much.
it. No way,
But
man.
yeah, so that was a really freak
It's
accident, I
metal,
have to
man.
say. But it's metal. It's metal. It gets grimy over here. So yeah, for in terms of rehearsal, I have to say for me it's been pretty violent. But like hoping we can definitely get on stage. I'm really hoping to get on stage, and it's definitely not going to be the last of it, and I'm almost excited for that.
Now, Eric and Daniel, do either of you guys sing? Like, can you do like for the backup vocals live
Yeah.
and the harmonies?
I could for sure do that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
100%. I
Daniel
have
can
a
definitely.
very I have what's his name? From Slaughter to Prevail, Alex Terrible. I
Oh
have
yeah.
his vocals.
So you can get that real deep guttural if you
Yeah,
need
the
to.
deep. Yeah. Not for a
Nice.
long period of time, but I could definitely get it without hurting my vocals.
I'd say Daniel's got that part, and I can probably help out on more of the melodies. But yeah,
Nice.
we did want to focus on background singing, and on top of that, like I know we were talking about playing live, so I don't want to get too far from that. But we are also like once we kind of solidify all the songs, for us three, we're planning to like also obviously have another guitarist on top of that,
Oh, okay.
just to be able to play live just
Yeah.
for both senses, since it's so far it's just us three. Luis has recorded both of the lead and the rhythm for the entire process so far.
Yeah, that was actually my next question because there's a lot, there's a lot of different stuff going on between the rhythms and the harmonies and stuff, and I didn't know if it'd be one of those things. I just saw a band a few weeks ago that I'm a singer and I'm not technically like I don't know anything. I don't know shit from Shinola when it comes to equipment and things like that or gear, but um the band had like harmonies going. They only had one guitar player, but he was stomping a pedal that he could play, get a harmony thing across. And I didn't know if you guys would get another player in the band for live situations to really bring that out, or if there was just a setup technologically that you would use to so you'd be able to reproduce that stuff live. It's not
Yeah,
like it's not like it's like Queen where there's like a zillion things going on, but there
Right.
there are enough things going on that I think I think that'd be cool. Like if you had like someone backing you up just to fill in those spots where where there are harmonies or laying down a rhythm when you rip your leads and
yeah, for sure. I think the arrangements of this song on guitar, or for the songs on guitar, definitely call for two guitarists. There's a lot of like counter melodies and like,
yeah.
sort of like back and forth type things from
Right.
rhythm, and then there's like a melody line on top of it. I do want to get someone who can focus on lead a bit more, because obviously I'm playing guitar and singing, and that's like a big headache on its own. But I definitely do want to get someone more capable, I would say, than me at lead. I think I get the job done, but I'm kind of like a one-trick pony. Like, I can like auto runs, I can do like the cool bends, but like for the next record, I definitely want to take some of that stress off of like writing solos and then even live as well. Like, you know, uh, having to switch from like rhythm to lead. I don't want to have to worry about that too much. So I wouldn't say that we want to get a lead guitarist. I think I just want to get someone capable of lead that we can like trade solos with, and then I could take care of like, whatever's convenient for me, and then they could take care of the rest.
Do you guys have anybody in mind? I'm only asking because you three are obviously a very tight unit and you've been together for quite a while. So to bring in an outsider, so to speak, I mean, is
Yeah.
there somebody you've known, almost as long as you guys have been together, or how do you feel that's going to work out?
That's what I feel like is going to be our biggest challenge, to be honest. Like within that chemistry, I think it's just going to have to come to when we build like a good following to where we can find like a lot of, like a pool of people and sort of see like who best like fits within the band, like on a chemistry level especially.
Right.
But we definitely want to like I don't even think we've found someone like that's up to the guitarist caliber, like not to gloat Luis too much, but like up
Oh,
to
go
that,
for
like
it, man.
within anyone like that I closely know, that can sort of hold that down, like even within our songs so far, and even when we want to like go on top of that and improve past that. So I mean, you guys might have something else to say, I'm not sure, but that's like where my mind goes immediately.
Yeah, well, actually, like, given social media these days, it's actually like not too hard at all to find people. Like, you could just search up like metal guitarist Toronto, and like a bunch of people would pop up. I think I've developed like a short list of people that I might be interested in reaching out, but that would definitely be within like uh at least a month's time, because right now we're just the three of us. We're locking down the instrumentals, getting them like super tight for live, and then from then on we'll probably get another guitarist, and then I could start singing on top of what I'm playing on the guitar. So that's kind of like the flow or the plan for now.
Hopefully you guys find somebody who blends well with the chemistry you guys have already created. I wanted to ask one more question here before we get straight too far. Now, the EP Injustice is served you guys did that on your own also, and it's a great EP, but the step up in production value to the regime was incredible. And now you guys had about 3 years in between those two, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And you guys really tightened up, and the technicality of your playing went from here to here within those couple of years. Now, did you guys kind of come together and say, okay, we gotta up our game? I mean, any of you can answer and jump in at any time, but I was really blown away by just the progression you guys had between the EP and the regime. I was like, whoa, these guys really pulled it together.
It was mostly all Louise. It was pretty much just Louise.
I have to say the improvements came from Luis
Yeah.
for sure. On a production level, it seemed like he had that going down for quite a bit. So
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely the part that took the longest, getting like a really like a sound that I was happy with. I mean, even now I'm not like 100% happy with it, but I think when I compare it back to like as you said, like the Injustice is Served EP, then it's like a night and day difference,
Yeah,
even from like the levels to the mastering to how each thing was recorded. I think it's just a huge step up, which I'm really proud of and happy with. And yeah, I definitely did have that in mind where I was like, I do want to like, if I'm taking 3 years to release something new, then I might as well like make sure that it's like I'm putting everything into it. I'm putting all my
right.
time into it, you know, pretty much like sacrifice part of my hearing for it too. But
I think you did a fine job, man. I think mission accomplished.
How's the scene in general in Toronto? In terms of metal up there. I'm not too far. Mike's in Wisconsin. I'm in Pittsburgh. I'm about 5 hours away, but I've only ever gotten up to Toronto one time, unfortunately. So
oh,
yeah,
nice. Yeah. No, definitely. I'd say the metal scene here is huge. I feel like any sort of music like genre, subgenre just gets like there's a huge group for people who love it. And especially even like the underground. I feel like it's really easy, at least like I've looked at it from a like a concert venue kind of style because I've
right.
like been so interested in like underground music and things like that
Sure.
that I've like been able to see those venues and everything and like see bands like kind of like at our like level of following and things like that. It's huge. Like you get to see any type of subgenre of music and it's just so enjoyable here. I feel like a lot of people have open minds. I mean there is so many like people that are just like interested to hear new bands and new people and fresh sounds. So I think from our perspective it's almost going to be refreshing because we do get that sort of compliment from regime that we do kind of bring back a little bit of a classic feel, but like on top of that we also do have like that modern feeling, like with how, for example, how Luis brought up like octo tracking, like it just makes it feel modern, but like with that kind of sound. So I think like any Metallica fan or and like anyone like that who doesn't get to see Metallica every year or every month can just come along and like sort of watch us, and we can sort of like you know kind of build a following from people who are like love that inspired music, and on top of that like grow our new sound from there, right, and sort of like have that following with us.
Yeah, I feel like you guys could fit on you could play with any number of different kinds of bands. Like you go from like, I mean, bands that are thrash like you, where you could play with, a more melodic, traditional, for lack of a better word, true
Yeah.
metal band kind of thing, or play with a hardcore band even, or a more extreme band, or you could play with more modern sounding bands. Like I just think like this style like is popular with so many different groups of people that I feel like it's a good, it feels like as long, if you guys, I don't know what your, how many friends you have out in the scene, but you should be able to segue into playing live, like, and getting shows and just getting on bills, no problem.
yeah, for
For
sure. That's
sure.
mostly Daniel actually. He has
Yeah.
all the connections.
I do have all the connections in the metal scene. Actually, 2 days ago, a colleague of mine at my job, he told me that he talked to a couple other metal bands that are in the underground scene and talked to a venue owner who he pretty much only ran underground metal like concerts. So he talked to him and they said they're available for us to go in to perform whenever we're ready. So
That's cool.
Awesome.
I do have the contacts for like actual venues and any live performance at the moment.
That's key. That's real key. That's good to know then. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
agree too. I don't want to throw the word, for me and Butch, I guess we could say, a lot of the new material on the regime is a bit nostalgic for us because it does sound like early Metallica or Testament, but 100% in agreement that, you guys do have that really cool modern sound to the newer thrash bands. And, two bands that came to mind for me were Toxic Ruin and then Misfire, who just put out a new album out of Chicago. I thought right away, I was like, oh man, that would be a perfect show to get you guys on with those because it would blend perfectly. So yeah, absolutely. You guys are on the go here.
For sure, yeah. And I think that was also something we had in mind when writing the regime, or when I had in mind writing the regime was I didn't want to limit myself just to like classic thrash, because like
Yeah,
I'd say with Injustice is Served EP, like I mean to be fair though, at the time I was only listening to like just to Metallica, so obviously it's gonna sound like Metallica, but with the regime, I did branch out into like different bands, different subgenres, even like different genres completely. There's like a lot of like pop elements with like the choruses, like opening up with like a big chorus. But I didn't want to limit myself to like a particular subgenre. We threw in
yeah,
breakdowns because we like breakdowns,
sure.
that sort of things compared to like back then when I would be like so stingy on like everything. I would like the tuning on the Injustice is Served EP is like all E flat, and I was like, it would sound cooler if I go down to C sharp, but like no thrash bands to go to C sharp, so you
Not
know,
doing it, not doing it.
right, we did it for the regime. About like half the songs are in C sharp, which give it like a cool like
Yeah.
some variety.
Yeah, you guys have got a great, cross section of music though. I just wanted to bring up Aftermath because for me that was like a slow burn kind of a song, and then it speeds up, and then the conclusion of that song is just, man, just pounds it out. So yeah, you guys, a lot of modern bands. I'm not going to mention any. There are those that paint themselves into a corner though, because it's just full speed ahead, song after song after song. And it just gets a little bit, mundane after a while. So bands such as yourselves that keep everything fresh and throw progressive elements and everything in there, that's going to widen your audience and keep people coming back and looking for that next album from you guys all the time.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Absolutely, man.
I had a
And I think
question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think for the next record, like we're just trying to build off of like, what we currently have while keeping what we want to do is we want to like keep building our sound and like have
Hmm.
something fresh while, keeping like the same elements sort of. Like you could tell that it's a Centaurus album when you listen to it, but like it sounds like a fresh new thing. So that's definitely something we're keeping in mind. Right now we have about like 6 demos done for the new
Oh,
record
nice.
already. So we want to aim for like 10 or 11 and we'll see how it goes from there.
Very cool.
I did have a question for you guys, actually. Sorry. Like,
Okay.
how necessarily did you guys find out about us? Like, just off the jump.
I'll be honest with you, man. I there's there's a site that I've gone on for years just to see. Um, it helps me figure out like what new releases are coming out. It might be out of Russia or something. It's called Get Metal.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
use it. I do not use it to download things, but what I do is I go in and say, this came out this week, this came out this week, this came out, this looks interesting. And I go into Spotify and Bandcamp and look in both places. And I'm like, this sounds cool. I put it in a playlist on my Spotify. And then during the week, like I must have dumped, I think every week I dump like 20 plus albums into my Spotify. And 'cause I listen to it during the day at work. I mean, I have records and CDs in the other room that I prefer to listen to it, but I'm allowed,
Gotcha.
since I work from home, like I can keep the headphones on, and it keeps me in touch with like what's going on out there in terms of stuff I like to listen to and that isn't someone I already know have heard a million times. So
Yeah.
yeah, it honestly it caught my eye. I slid it into my Spotify playlist and listened to it. I was like, oh, I wrote to Mike like I'm like Mike, you gotta check these guys out. I'm like, this is like old, like it's that real, like it was that super catchy, like I said, that sharp, like the riffing and stuff, and then that you get those mid tempo kind of breakdown bits and stuff that are just like I don't know. That's my favorite kind of thrash, like that kind of stuff. And there were parts of it. It made me nostalgic in a lot of ways too, like Mike was saying. For like I grew up during the Ride the Lightning and Master Puppets and
Yeah.
Injustice for All, like in an Old Testament and Overkill and
Yep.
bands like that. And I'm like, oh, this is like up my alley, like in terms. So I found it from this site, and then I go into Spotify, and then you're obviously on Bandcamp because I wrote you guys too because I was hoping that this would be out on a physical release so that I could buy it. I'll probably end up just contributing to the cause and buying the download. But is there a plan to try to get this out? Like once you start playing live, like at least on CD? Or I know vinyl's pretty hefty until you build a following because it's so expensive. But
Yeah.
are you shopping into labels at all?
That was my next question. Thank you, Butch.
Not so much into labels, but physical copies. We've been monitoring it like pretty regularly, and honestly, there's been a pretty sufficient demand, I would say, for us to maybe go ahead and do like CDs, as you said, because I think we got like one or two requests for vinyl, but we'll definitely start with CDs first. I think maybe 50 to 100 copies is a good thing, and then we could like sign them all and send them out.
There
But
you go.
yeah, definitely within. I want to say the next month or 2 months for sure.
Nice. I feel like with the whole thing with the kind of throwback to cassettes too would fit you guys
Yeah, for
real well. I
sure.
feel like that would there'd definitely be a market for people, especially in I don't know, South America. They seem to
They love
eat
them.
that up, and Europe like cassettes, and
Interesting.
so yeah, it's cool to hear that it'll be a physical copy because I can't wait to get my greedy little
We'll definitely let you know for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
hands on it.
We're old. We like our physical stuff, man.
Hey, I feel it too. We're the same way. My brother just got a vinyl player. He's been buying us vinyls. We've been playing it like crazy. Yeah.
Oh, welcome to
I
the
feel it.
addiction, man. Because
Yeah, there's no
feel it.
escape.
And
Once
respectfully,
you're
that
in,
is not cheap. I can't lie.
dude.
They're not cheap.
No, they've gotten extremely expensive in the last probably like 6 months. The prices have gotten kind of silly, but
Yeah,
It's
big
hard.
time.
It's hard to believe everything used to be relatively the same price at one time. It would be like $6.98 for the cassette,
yep.
$7.98 for an LP, and like back in the when in the real olden days, like 8 tracks, and then when CDs came out, they were always like $3, $4, $5 more.
Yep.
And then like vinyl, man, I just bought Mike and I just went through some stuff that we got last night, and we were dropping like $40 on an LP
Yeah.
anymore sometimes. So I mean, I don't mind doing it for a band I really like, but it's like crazy. The days of like buying stuff sight, sound unheard. Um,
Yes.
that's like one of the most fun ways I found to find music. Like this is kind of like what it was describing before is like my version of going to the record store and flipping through stuff and just being like, I'll have that.
Yep.
And buy. It's like,
I
you
feel
know,
you.
I usually get like, I don't know, if I'm in like a 3 songs in, I'm like, this is gonna be good. Like there's some stuff I'm just like right away. I'm like, nope, I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Right away sometimes. And sometimes you're like, I have to go back and spin that. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoy it. And then I went back after I listened to this and listened to the EP and enjoyed that a lot too.
For
I
sure.
did want to hit on your lyrics because I enjoy the lyrics, and I like that they span different things. Like there's social issues you're touching on. It seems like some personal to
Yeah.
you stuff, and then you get into like art and things, like film and literature as the background for this. Like what's your lyrical process? Is that all you, Luis, or do you guys talk about what you want to have the songs be about? Or
For this one, it was mostly all me. I think we collectively agreed that we wanted the regime to be about control kind of like Master Puppets, but we wanted to like branch out into like kind of different things. So I did a lot of the lyrics I did write about like, like you said, like films or like pieces of literature that like caught my mind. Injustice is Served is about Arthur Miller's The Crucible, which is based on the Salem witch trials.
Right.
It's a book that I read in high school, and it's like probably the only one that caught my attention out of those 4 years. But yeah, that was it. And then Beyond the Grave is about the horror film Hereditary. If you haven't seen it, it's a great horror film. Like probably like
Scary.
top three. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Like
it's a good one.
just even like the story itself is like really chilling. So that really caught my mind as well. And I kind of wrote around that, keeping it like more vague, so it's kind of like applicable to
Hmm.
other interpretations. But yeah, and then personal issues, there were a lot of songs that like I'd say last year I was in a pretty negative headspace. I didn't have a lot going for me, along with like some other personal issues. So the aftermath, beneath the sands of time, fragments, like those are all like kind of me just like outputting, you know, or like getting out like things that I was feeling at the time. And then, you know, um, other things like dissension is kind of like a dig at like, societal standards. I was also really upset at the time that like a lot of people were like, oh, you got to follow this path, you got to
Yeah.
do X, Y, Z. So yeah, it's mostly just about control. And then we kind of like revolved all of the lyrics around that. So mhm.
Super cool, man. Yeah, I mean, I dig it, man. I like that, like you said, the words are written in a way that I know there's like a meaning for you, but like this, a lot of this stuff can apply to, people can take this in and
Yeah.
um I think it's really cool, and it suits that style of music really well, and it's refreshing um to get a variety of lyrics like this instead of just, not that I don't like bands singing about demons and wizards or, all politics all the time or, love songs or whatever. It's cool to have a mix of stuff, and they're really like intelligently written, I
Very
think.
much. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't, I'm just, like I said, I mean, we're just really really impressed with this release. I mean, I think there's a bright future for you guys. What are your, we talked about, you said you have about 6 songs demoed up. So I guess let's talk about as we gear towards start wrapping things up a little bit, what your plans for the next year or so are, or how soon do you want to have another record out, or do you want to start playing before you get something else out, or how long you want to let things for the regime run before you pop new material out?
For sure. Yeah, I think the current plan right now is to lock in our live performances, like live performance ability by the end of the summer, and then from there we'll play like shows. But on the side, we do want to, keep writing demos and recording demos. And ideally, I want to say we want to have the next album out sometime early next year, so that way in the following summer, when like live shows and festivals are like big, then we could just mostly focus on that rather than still have to
Right.
worry about, the new album and getting it uh, finish writing, finish writing it.
Do you plan on handling all that again amongst the three of you, or are you going to look for maybe a studio, or how are you going to handle that?
For the most part, I think we doing it DIY is kind of our way to go. Like at home, I think we get a pretty solid product, and we're still like
100%. Yeah.
learning as we go about like production, mastering, mixing, all that sorts of stuff. So
Oh, I think
it,
you're on the right path because between the
Sure.
two, yeah, it's been huge. I would at this point almost recommend keep it in house because you guys are dialed in and you've got it going the right way. So
for
Yeah,
sure,
I mean,
yeah,
go ahead, Butch.
you wouldn't know like that it wasn't recorded. It sounds as good as a lot of,
Oh yeah.
a lot of stuff that comes out on like bigger labels. So I mean, sounds really freaking good.
There's some essence of Rust and Peace in there too, production wise, I thought right
mhm,
away. So man, seriously, kudos to you guys for pulling that off. It sounds great.
thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And on top of that, I have been like upgrading the studio and in the basement as well, in my basement as well. So we've been like like now that we can go a little bit more collaboratively, now that I graduated, we can like get on top of that, like have the vocal recordings done now that I have soundproofing in the basement, uh, you know, DAWs and
Nice.
audio interfaces ready to go. So yeah, we'll probably take it from there. I mean, like if this could be done with like Luis and one like like just one person taking care of it, I think like on top of that, like we'll be able to like bring our own perspectives on top of that as well, and it'll go really well, I hope.
That's a hell of a lot more cost effective too.
Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
yes, definitely.
Probably the main thing we had in mind.
Yeah.
Regard.
Yeah.
Smart.
But no, just building off of what Eric said, we definitely are gonna have it like a more collaborative effort. Like even when it comes to writing, I think I'll probably write, one or two more songs with my current writing process, and then we do want to try and have like, those like basement sessions where you just like hammer it out and try and get
Right.
something, and I do want to help them as well, like, get that songwriting ability up so that we can, be more efficient rather than, I have like writer's block and there's nothing going on for the rest of us. And collaboration also for production as well. I think Eric mentioned, we'll get like a headphone splitter and then work on the mixing and mastering together rather
Sure.
than it's me. So at least that way we could get like a second pair of ears,
Yeah.
I might not be hearing everything. They might point something out and we can make adjustments from there.
Hey, before we wrap everything up, I wanted to ask Daniel. I know that you said, you've got your feet in the promo area and you're talking to venues and getting your contacts. You seem to be pretty happy with that. You got any inclination of just, becoming a regional promoter in the Toronto area and talking to bands? And it sounds like you've got a decent relation, or you're about to have a decent relationship with a venue. So any thoughts on that?
It hasn't really gotten far enough to where like I've actually talked to these like the venue owner personally. It's just like my friend told me what
Sure.
the venue owner said. So it's just I just have my feet in the door as like I have friends that have friends
Yeah.
at my disposal, right? I don't know about promoting other bands, but if I could, I would
Sure.
for
Sure.
for
I
Bryce.
only
It's
ask
kind of
because
selfish right now too, right? We're not we've gotten much bigger than I actually thought we would,
sure.
and kind of hoping it gets even bigger than that, which got to be a bit selfish and only promote ourselves at this point.
That's a good
Yeah.
way to look at it. I only ask because I did bookings and promoting for a long time too, and you seem to have the vibe for it. So I had to reach out and ask you about that. But
I'm
I,
very extroverted, yes. I talk to a lot of people.
that's good. That's good. You're the promo man for the band, then. That's a good thing.
Man, too, like speaking of promo and just the band growing, and I mean I just took a quick perusal at your Spotify. I mean, you got like a gaggle of people in Finland like
Yeah.
listening to you guys. It's like it's fun to look at like the
Yeah.
breakdown of who in the world is listening to your stuff, and like there's a bunch of people in Finland that listen to Regime. So
There's your first tour, guys.
It's
that's
all across the
awesome.
world. I've even
Yeah,
seen
I
in
mean, there's
South
lots of
Korea.
countries. Yeah,
Yeah,
So
honestly, we look at because Spotify has like their own like artist tool where you can like see a breakdown of like where
yeah,
people are listening. Like I've seen like people listening in countries I didn't even know existed.
I
yeah,
know.
same. Names I've never heard of.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, it is really cool to see it like kind of progress. We've obviously been going pretty hard on the promo, getting it heard, pushing it out to people. But I think I was just taken aback because like we put out two singles first, like Beyond the Grave and then Beneath the Sands of Time, 2 weeks prior to the release of the album. And those were like really slow. So I was kind of getting in that headspace, like, man, did I just waste all this time? Like, and then out of nowhere, like I think within the first day or two, it got like 1,000 streams, which I got like blown away by.
That's awesome,
Yeah,
though.
that's awesome. Yeah, don't get discouraged, man. It's like with anything. It just the more work you put into it, the more that will come to you, and it takes time to build something. Like
Yeah.
don't let it get you down. Like I same with like reviews and stuff. When you start getting them, like it's keep your it's good to I had to learn a long time ago to like keep things in perspective, and you kind of like take the great ones and the terrible ones with a grain of salt, and
Yeah.
Not let it like bother you too much. Just do your thing, man, because at the end of the day, just all about that catharsis of like
Hell yeah.
getting this stuff what's inside the three of you out and just making music for the sake of music. And man, I do think that people are going to dig Centaurus, and I wish the best for all of you. And open invite to come on the show whenever you want. Like Mike and I are always talking about different stuff. You know, we have different panels all the time. So anytime you want to pop on, you got something to promote. Oh, speaking of promote, I'm an idiot. Like what do you guys want to you plug your websites and stuff while let people know where to find you.
Let everybody know where they can purchase the regime.
Sure, we're on a Bandcamp right now, as well as like all major streaming platforms. We're aiming to get a website set up sometime soon. And then from there, it'll just like have everything, you could like navigate to all of our streaming services, or you could buy physical copies. We plan on like integrating a shop into there too, of some sort, but we'll see. We might just keep it on the Bandcamp for now, depending on how much merch we put out.
We'll definitely put the link in the description when we get this all edited and done. So we'll point everybody in your direction.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Well, listen, thank you, gentlemen, Eric, Luis, Daniel. Thank you for coming on the show tonight. I mean,
Thank you very much.
It was really like an honor for us to have you on.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, guys. Really.
Like we said, we really enjoy the recordings, and looking forward to seeing what comes next from Centaurus. Everyone go out and check these guys out, because it's like everyone talks all the time about, especially like people. I don't mean to. I keep making like us being older a thing, but it's the reason I'm saying it is because you're always like you'll hear like, well, there's like, where's the new music that I'm gonna get? It's right here, man. I mean, it's these guys right here are up in Toronto, like making kick-ass heavy metal. Like these are the kind of bands. Get out and support them. Go to their Bandcamp. Get this, buy the download for now until the physical comes out. Get in touch with them. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram. I know you guys got an Insta page. So yeah, I mean, check out Centaurus, please, everyone.
Hell yeah.
Great bands.
And tell all your friends about them too.
Tell all your friends.
Much appreciated, guys. You guys don't know how much it means to us. Really, it's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, the pleasure's ours.
Well, like Butch said too, you guys are always welcome back anytime. So use us as a resource anytime that you want.
Yeah,
thank
you.
Thank you.
You betcha. All right. Well, hey, Centaurus, thank you. And we'll see everybody else on the next episode of For the Sake of Heaviness.
One day we'll get it right.
We jack that up every time, man.